As a first-generation Kenyan American, I frequently had to juggle two identities in two worlds. When I relocated from Washington, D.C. to Nairobi, Kenya at the age of 15, a decision that not only changed where I lived, but who I was. In addition to telling this story, I'm here to demonstrate how accepting change, even when it seems intimidating, can result into unanticipated development and healing. In Kenya, our complex history is intricately entwined with our social dynamics and identities, both its hardships and inequalities. Even though we continue to celebrate these past accomplishments, the legacy of these past historical injustices has not only shaped how our society is structured, but the way we should view ourselves and others. In this talk, I want us to explore how understanding these roots of inequality is essential for our country's growth. By reflecting on our collective and personal histories, we can move forward to a more united, empathetic, and self-aware country. I remember my third day in Kenya after so many years. I was with my dad, and we stayed a few nights in a hotel, so I didn't really get that Kenyan experience just yet. But that wasn't until my aunt picked me up and took me to her home in easterly Nairobi. Stepping foot into that busy town, I was thrown into the realities of adjusting to a completely different world. I had so much to catch up on: how I dressed, the way I came off, my terrible Kiswahili. I had to place my ego and my pride to the side. I realized that accepting a new heritage required both honoring my roots and allowing space for change. And it was hard. I felt alienated. I got stares every time, like they just smelt the American in me. However, I came to understand that every obstacle presented a chance for me to rethink who I am, to understand that there's strength and power in acknowledging that identity is not fixed. It's a fluid, it's an evolving journey and an ever-changing process. But just as I was figuring out myself, I realized that Kenya too had also been struggling with identity in its past. Me and Kenya were both in a process of transformation. Kenya's past is complicated, multi-layered, and without serious scars. We still carry the wounds of inequality, eruption, and division, just like many other post-colonial countries. We have berries from the colonial era that have not only physically separated us, but embedded differences in our society. These injustices, which range from land disputes to ethnic differences, still have an impact on our communities, even generations later. We live in a world that celebrates independence, but that still doesn't erase the lingering and Semitic inequality. When we ignore history, it doesn't just disappear. Instead, it permeates of our perceptions of ourselves and each other. It manifests in the division of the communities in which who has access to resources and who doesn't. As I started to learn more about Kenya, whether it was just talking to locals or simply just glancing outside the window while driving, I became aware of this imbalance. It became clear to me that, just like my own journey, acknowledging the power of where we came from and recognizing the pain and the resilience our ancestors went through to lead us to where we are today is important. This is the reason why I chose my name for TEDx. The Akan people of West Africa, Ghana, use an ancestral term called Sankofa, which means we must go back to our past, reclaim it, so we can understand why and how we are to be who we are today. So why Sankofa? This concept from the Akan people teaches us that in order to move forward, we must return to our roots. For me, it meant accepting my dual identity as a Kenyan and American. It meant that accepting despite the cultural contrast that has been going on in my life, each piece holds its own value. Every memory, every challenge has shaped me, but reclaiming these pieces was essential for me to becoming whole. In Kenya, the same holds true. Our past isn't just something that should just be remembered. It's a foundation. So Sankofa calls us to recover and revisit these truths, not linger on them, but to comprehend them. I was able to find strength living in Kenya by reflecting on myself, by tapping into my shadows, and accepting my past and all its facets. Kenya can find a similar strength by discovering its heritage and recognizing the pain and the resilience our people went through. Imagine a Kenya where we don't just coexist, but we see each other for one another. So today, I ask all of us to think about what Sankofa might mean in our lives and what parts of our history do we need to reclaim to be able to move forward and be stronger as a community. And as a nation, what would it look like if we honored our past, not to just stay there, but to understand how it is shaping us? Thank you.